Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elseygood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose Naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. Today I'd like to welcome back our guest, Dr. Sam Lebsock. Thank you for joining us today, Sam.
Yes, thank you for having me, Linda.
But it's always exciting talking to you, and I know you've got some exciting news to tell us later. But to start with, can you tell us why it is so important to have a compounded LDN?
Yeah, sure. So it is very important to get LDN compounded, not to be using, commercial tablets and then dissolving it in water. The main thing here is that quality of the product, accuracy of dosing. Compounding pharmacists are trained and know how to compound and know how to give you the correct strength. They also can prove that there's no growth in any of this. So compounding will give you a high quality product at the dose that you need. If you're trying to make any type of dosing out of the commercial tablet, dissolving it in water, we don't know what type of dosing you're getting. We don't know if there's anything growing in that water if you're putting it in your fridge. Some people say that the active ingredient dissolves and the inactives go to the top. That's not true. It's really best to leave any type of compounding to the professionals. You do not want to be doing this yourself. Also, compounding is very reasonably priced, so it shouldn't really be an issue. You should try to get a compounded LDN prescription by a compounding pharmacy who knows what they're doing. And with that, also, LDN does require a prescription. So if you're online Googling, you should not be getting it from some online pharmacy and no prescription or no doctors monitoring you. You want to be going to a doctor who is writing you a prescription, who is sending it to a compounding pharmacy, and then the compounding pharmacy is getting it to you. That's really best practice and what everyone should be following. Any compounder, I am sure, across the country will be happy to help you find a compounding pharmacy or a prescriber for LDN at that, because a lot of prescribers are always sending in prescriptions. And so we see, prescribers from all across the country. So that's really one thing that we want to drive home right at the beginning. LDN compounding should be left to professionals that are in the pharmacy practice, and you should be getting a legitimate prescription from a prescriber that then sends it to a compounding pharmacy that sends it to you. So I know we get that question a lot, Linda, I just got this online. That's a big red flag, and all the flags should be going up for that situation. So yes, that is my spiel about compounding with LDN.
So we always are being asked, what dose should you start with?
That's a great question. So it really depends on the patient. I have some patients who are very sensitive, who are starting at doses at around 0.1. I have some patients who don't even notice, and they can start right at 4.5. So my first question I like to ask is, are you a sensitive patient? Some patients will say, yes, I am sensitive. And so that's kind of my cue that they should start on those lower doses, 0.1. Some even start at ultra low if they feel that that's where they're at. And then normally I tell them, take it for a week. And if you're feeling fine, then that's a good sign that you can titrate up. If you're not feeling fine, then you need to stay on it for another week and then reevaluate. So I have some patients who will titrate, weekly, every 3 days, some patients who might take a month. So there's really not a best defined answer. It's really dependent on that patient. And that's why it's very important to have a doctor who kind of knows LDN, a pharmacy that kind of knows LDN, so that they can help you get to this standard that you might be, which kind of follows into, well, what dose should I be at? Well, 4.5 is kind of historically the best, what was studied the most and where a lot of people land. But What we're finding is 3 milligrams might be good for some, 6 milligrams might be good for some, 9 milligrams, might be good for some. So there's a lot of variations now that we're seeing. And while 4.5 might be the most popular, 3 milligrams, 1.5 are also very popular. So I always tell people, when you get to a good dose and you're feeling good, and if you go up a little bit and you don't feel good and it's not working for you, go back down to that original dose. And then a lot of them feel great and they just stay on that dose, and it's what's best for them. Normally I see that at around 1.5 to 6. That's probably our most common strengths that we see for maintenance dosing. So it's definitely changed now a lot, because a lot of people just started at 4.5 and now there's a lot of variations out there.
What about common side effects? What do you see?
The most common side effect I really see is sleep disturbance, sometimes stomach upset, or sometimes kind of fatigue or feeling off, I guess you could say. Normally with that titration, we don't see very much of that. A lot of patients might not notice anything, but those sensitive patients who are kind of in tune do notice things. These are normally transient side effects. So normally they're going to go away within about 2 weeks. The other interesting thing is some patients tell me it causes constipation. Some patients tell me it causes some diarrhea. So normally those will go away as you start to regulate, but I see both sides reported back in. But normally these are transient side effects, 2 weeks, and then they go away.
Mm-hmm. And people always want to know, how long is it going to be before I notice benefits from taking LDN?
Yeah, I have had patients who've told me within a week that they've noticed, and then I've had patients who've told me that they didn't notice anything until they took a full 3 months. So I always tell patients, please try to take 3 full months before you tell me it doesn't work, because I've had patients right up till the end, and then they'll be like, oh, you know what? This last month I did feel better, and I actually do think I'm feeling better. I always tell this story because it's classic in our pharmacy, that patients will be like, it's not working anymore, I don't notice anything, and they've been on it maybe for 2 years now. They go off of it and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh. They'll call back usually a month or 2 later and say, I need back on my LDN. I didn't even realize all the things that it was helping me with, because they just start recognizing their body starts functioning as normal and their immune system's better. And then when they go off of it, it starts going haywire again, usually in 2 to 3 months. So it's very interesting when we always see that. So I usually say, a week to 3 months, really try to give a 3-month trial, but then you do stay on it for long term. A lot of patients need it indefinitely, because when they go off, that's when things start going haywire again.
And what about the myth of LDN has to be taken at bedtime?
So yes, the research kind of started being done at bedtime, right? Because endorphins were thought to be made at night. We have a lot of patients who now take it in the morning because that's when they want to take it, and they see the exact same benefits of the patients who take it at night. So I kind of tell patients to take it when it's best for them. Some do have those nightmares or kind of vivid dreams, that you could say. So they like to take it in the morning and then they don't have any of that. So I kind of do let my patient lead and see what's best for them. A lot of patients now take it during the day and see the exact same positive benefits as the patients who take it at night.
Now, we were always told back in the day that you couldn't take LDN with opioids. Now, that is using full dose LDN.
Yes.
Full dose, as in being like 3 milligrams or whatever. But now we have ultra low dose and microdosing. And I know that you've been doing a lot of work with microdosing and opioids. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So, we still like to say with LDN, doses between, 0.5 and up to 5 that you should at least contact your doctor to make sure your doctor's aware that you're on opioids, right? We try to say, don't take any opioids. But I am, Linda, if you could maybe grant me ability to share my screen, I will share with you guys a couple slides on, dosing with opioids. So there is a lot of more research now coming out with micro dosing with LDN and in conjunction with opioids. So we have been working on an ultra low dose naltrexone tablet, a 2 microgram scored tablet that you can use in conjunction with opioids to try to help patients titrate down on their opioid dosing and get better results with pain management. So let me just share my screen so that you guys can see. It's sometimes easier for people to see on, here we go. So can you guys see my screen on this naltrexone mechanism of action, Linda?
Yes, but I'll
Okay.
edit this bit out, Sam, if you want to put it into
Yes,
speaker view
presentation
first and then start again. I'll chop this bit out because it doesn't look nice.
How does this look okay? Can you see this?
No, yeah, I'd like you to go to a slideshow.
Oh, yes. Hold on.
So you don't see everything, you just see your slides.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right.
Let's go
I'm in
to
no hurry.
interview, and then let's go to, why is this not working? Slide 2, screen 2, share. Can you see it now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, so I wanted to share my screen here because I just wanted to show, what the dosing is kind of with mechanism of action. So as you can see, the standard, 50 to 100 milligrams, this is where I'm talking commercial strength. This is where it is being used a lot for alcoholism and opioid abuse. LDN is right here where we're talking about, 1 to 5. We are talking immune system. We are talking, inflammation. And then down here in around 1 microgram, we start talking about ultra low dose naltrexone. And so what is thought to be happening here is that we actually have seen in some trials that I'll kind of walk you guys through here, is that we are seeing ultra low dose naltrexone being used with opioids to help with tolerance of opioids, decrease patients' tolerance, decrease the amount of opioids that they need to actually feel the same type of pain relief. So it's very interesting. This is a similar slide, but what I want to point out down here is that the mechanism that we're really seeing is that when you give an ultra low dose of, let's say, an antagonist like LDN is, that you actually see this phenomenon called hormesis, so that it actually might act as a weak agonist. So it's very interesting stuff that we've been working on. So this is kind of maybe a brief little description of what might be happening. And we think it's a G-coupled protein situation here where this is being switched. The G-coupled protein is being switched from the inhibitory to a stimulatory, and this is where the antagonist effect may be happening. So some studies using ultra low dose with opioids. So this was a study using oxycodone with ultra low dose naltrexone. They tested, 4 different groups here. So we had an oxytrex, which is oxycodone with ultra low dose naltrexone, and they would dose the oxytrex or the oxycodone with ultra low dose naltrexone 4 times a day. And so they would do 1 microgram 4 times a day. And so, or they would do it twice a day, or just oxycodone or a placebo. And so what we found is that these patients actually experienced a reduction of pain on the patients who were getting oxycodone plus ultra low dose naltrexone. So these patients were feeling better pain control than when they were not getting the ultra low dose naltrexone with their opioid. So then we started digging into some more research, and we keep kind of finding this very similar type of situation. When patients were getting ultra low dose naltrexone with their opioid, they started having better pain control, and they started having maybe not needing as much pain medication. So I pulled some of these together to kind of show the improvement. So 55% less physical dependence than the patients in the oxycodone group alone. They also had less side effects than the oxycodone group alone. So this was very interesting. We have all of this information that we are happy to share with any type of prescriber. And it's not just oxycodone that's kind of being studied here. There's buprenorphine, right? So we have a lot of patients on buprenorphine. And what we're seeing is that these patients who are getting this in combination with naltrexone are having better pain control. So I just wanted to point this out. Now here we have another one, methadone. So as we know, we have patients all across the country, all across the world, who are struggling with pain management. And so while combining this with ultra low dose naltrexone, we're actually seeing, better pain control. And actually, they're not having to take as much pain medication. And in some case, hopefully even titrate completely off of any type of opioid pain medication. So we're very interested in this space. We have been dabbling here, I would say, as Linda knows, probably 2-ish years now working on developing this type of tablet, because it's very hard to make. So I want to go into a little bit more in some case studies that we've seen, and then I'll get into how we did this. But for this methadone case, after 1 month, the patient dropped down to 50% of the original dose that they were taking. So we are very excited about some of this stuff that we are seeing and really wanting to study this area more, because it's fascinating. Wouldn't you agree, Linda? I'm just like, we want to keep diving into this because the opioid problem is so severe across the world. So we have some case study reports with oxycodone, buprenorphine, methadone, and all of these trials or case studies are really showing that we can decrease the amount of opioid or pain medication they're getting when they take it in conjunction of ultra low dose naltrexone. Now, I have some pain prescribers who we've been slowly working with who are trying to get patients off pain medications altogether. And so what we do is we've been starting, with these micro dosing. So a 2 microgram scored tablet, and they might start with, a 1 microgram, and they'll take it in conjunction with their opioid pain medication. And so what we're seeing is then we're slowly trying to back off on the opioid pain medicine. And so it's kind of a titrate down, right, on the opioid, while we kind of titrate up on the ultra low dose naltrexone. Then when we can get them off the opioid, we would like to introduce low dose naltrexone, right? Because that could be used alone to try to help some of these patients with pain. As we all know, there's tons of research with LDN and pain. So it's very interesting space that we are working in right now. And this research that we have dug up has really shown that, but we really want more research. So we've been calling on all of our pain prescribers to work with them to do some case studies, to maybe do some trials, so we can really present some more full detailed information. So I'd love to talk on next, like, how did we do this? because it's took a lot of work. So what's really difficult, I would say, Linda, is that I'm just going to go back to myself, is that developing 2 micrograms into a tablet was very difficult. It took us 2 years. And so what we had to do is that we had to figure out how we were going to blend this appropriately and then punch it into a tablet. But what we really wanted to do is we really wanted to be able to test our finished product to show that it actually had 2 micrograms. And so we contacted every lab in the United States, and none of them had a method to test our finished product. So we partnered with a third-party lab, and we started, developing a testing method so we could actually test our product. And so that took a solid year, and we developed this method. And so now we worked on our blend, I guess you could say, and then we worked on this testing method kind of in conjunction. And after all of this research and working with a lot of scientists, we were able to develop a tablet that we can prove has 2 micrograms of ultra low dose naltrexone in it. So we have a C of A, a certificate of analysis. And so now what we're wanting to do is, have big trials on this to, get some more data to present, because you can't really do a trial unless you can prove what is in your product. So we struggled with that for a bit because we couldn't do that, but now we can. And so we are very excited about this, and we are looking for additional prescribers and pain medicine doctors to really partner with us so we can take this research that's already been published and maybe do it on a larger scale to show, people how this can benefit them. With opioids, methadone, buprenorphine, like I said, there's all this research, and now we're just trying to compile it together. So we're really excited about it. It's taken a lot of time, and now I think we're ready to expand here.
Well, that's so exciting. And I know there are so many pain specialists who I'm sure want to get on board with this. Patients where they are addicted to pain medications, prescription medications, and it's very, very difficult to get off them. These people still are in a lot of pain but can't come off the medication. So by using something, like the microdosing is fantastic. I'm sure it will make a difference around the world to millions of people.
Yeah, and it's hard because these patients, they get a bad rap because you have to keep taking more and more opioids, right, to get the same effect. And so then they're way up here on their opioid dose. But if we could get ultra low dose on board, so they start to feel a little bit better, and then you keep going down, but they just don't feel good and their pain is bad. So if you can supplement that and just kind of get the start of it, I think that they will be more open, because it's not like we're taking it away right away. Let's get ultra low dose on board, and then let's start backing off so that they're still seeing some type of benefit and still feeling that pain relief. I think they all kind of panic, like, oh, don't take it away. I need to function all day and to feel okay. So that's why I think it's just a little bit different than what they're used to. So we really want to help these people.
Mm-hmm. Well, wish you every success, and maybe you can come back once the trial is underway. That would be really interesting.
Yes, of course. Of course. We want to share all the information that we gather with as many people as we can, because we really think that this could be a game changer in the opioid pandemic that we're really in today.
Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.